ball, sends it over to Edward Robles. Go! Insert name FC! Let's go! Insert name FC! What is up, everybody? My name is Hector Flores, host of the Insert Name FC podcast, a member of the BellyUpSports Media Network. You can find us on all things podcasts at Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast fix from. Just find us at Insert Name FC. Check us out on social media, on Instagram, X, and Facebook at Insert Name FC. Also video. So this episode's a little different, full video podcast normally will be on BellyUp's YouTube channel, but I'll talk about the things that make this one a little bit more different versus the others. So this episode, which is it does count as for our regular episode count. This will be episode 212. This will just be strictly a preview for the CONCACAF Gold Cup that's kicking off June 14th this weekend, and also the FIFA Club World Cup that will also be kicking off June 14th this weekend. So this episode will feature both preview both these games. The only thing I'm not entirely sure of if I'm gonna include this on BellyUp's YouTube channel. I'm still contemplating about that. The reason why is because I will be doing a BellyUp Super Show for Gold Cup and FIFA Club World Cup. So if you guys are wondering how is this different versus theirs, they're gonna go round by round. I'm only going to do a preview of, give you guys a preview of the group stage, and then give you guys at least my predicted winner throughout the whole thing. Or at least I'll give you guys like a top five, for each one, like a top five of teams that I likely expect to win the FIFA Club World Cup and the Gold Cup. But the reason why I'm not gonna do like, oh, here's the knockout round, but mainly one, because technically we are on break, but two, BellyUp, we would essentially be doing the same thing for BellyUp. So I don't want to take anything else away for BellyUp's sake. So this is why. And then plus everybody's going to be covering it like that. So I'm just going to give you guys a preview, and then at the end of the tournament we'll recap it. So that's how it's going to be. Now there is going to be a podcast format. So like I said, 212 will be where you hear both previews for the Gold Cup and the FIFA Club World Cup. And then on after the final, we'll recap both finals. So similar. So that'll be 213 or 220. I think 222 and 223. Yeah, 222 preview, 223 recap. So that's basically how we're doing it. And like I said, once again, we're already going to be doing that anyways for BellyUp. So if I'm going to I don't want to say the same. I don't want to repeat myself. Basically, is what I'm saying. So, but yeah, so that's basically how it's going to be done. I think that's actually how I'm going to go about it. So this will just be a podcast episode. I don't know if I want to do it for BellyUp though. That's the only thing. Probably not. This is probably just going to be strictly just an audio podcast, but on YouTube you'll see on Insert Name FC's YouTube channel you'll see the previews. They'll be their own separate videos. So I think that's how I'm going to go about it. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. But yeah, so that's basically the premise of this episode. There's no players of the week. There's no headlines. There's none of that. It's just straight up. We're previewing the CONCACAF Gold Cup and the FIFA Club World Cup. Pretty straightforward. So there's no really additional things. Also, probably congratulations Portugal for winning the UEFA Nations League. According to Football Cabral, they saved football from Lamine Yamal, which I don't know what the fuck that means, to be honest with you. But hey, okay, I guess I don't know, man. Those guys are interesting. I have no ill will towards them. I frankly don't care. I know everyone. Like it's always whenever their content pops up, I think it's interesting just because of the fact that like there's always that comment that says like podcast equipment needs to be expensive, or we need to tax podcast equipment, something like that. And I get it, but you know what? The thing I will say for people that create content or make podcasts and all those things, like I'll be honest with you, half my takes are terrible, but like at the end of the day, you know, they're prepared to put their face and, you know, say what they're gonna say and, you know, put it out there. You know, unfortunately, you know, many, I can say that not many would do that. So that's just my argument. I can care less for any of those guys. But anyways, once again, this episode, we're just going to talk about that. Like I said, there's not going to be a full video podcast just because there's going to be two separate videos, one for the Gold Cup and one for the Club World Cup that will be posted. But the podcast, this, you know, it'll just be another regular podcast episode. But anyways, all right. So once again, FIFA Club World Cup preview, CONCACAF Gold Cup preview. That's what this episode is going to be about. Nothing else to add. And there's no anything else to be added to this episode. It's just going to be just straight that forward. It really is, to be honest with you. But they are previews. There are going to be previews. I will add my predictions at the end of who I believe are the heavy favorites. My heavy favorite to win the whole thing. And in a kind of, I guess, like a power ranking system. Maybe I'll post that as well, of the teams that I think are likely to win the competition, the respective competitions. But all right, so with all that being said, we'll go ahead and take a break and then go right into the 2025 CONCACAF Gold Cup preview. Hey guys, this is Hector from the Insert Name FC podcast, here to tell you guys about Canada Dips. It is a great tasting, superior alternative to traditional dip, using CBD in a way that is radical, enjoyable, and effective. It comes in 5 core flavors: wintergreen, mint, citrus, mango, and American spice. Canada Dip CBD is the new evolution in dip, allowing guys to enjoy great, long-lasting taste without the downsides. If you guys want to go ahead and try them out, use the code BellyUp20 at CanadaDipCBD.com. Once again, BellyUp20 at CanadaDipCBD.com, and you'll get yourself 20% off your purchase. Thank you again for Canada Dips for being a great partner of BellyUpSports. All right, guys. So the 2025 FIFA, okay, well, technically, I guess it is a FIFA competition. The 2025 CONCACAF Gold Cup. It is going to kick off June 14th, Saturday, June 14th, and then it will conclude July 6th in Houston, Texas. Yes, I am contemplating on whether or not I want to buy tickets to go to this thing, or maybe somebody invites me. I don't know. Anyways, but this tournament will once again be hosted in the United States. Also, mind you, that the FIFA Club World Cup will also be happening in the United States. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic. But look, I'm like, I've said this before, but I'll say it again just because, you know, for the sake of we're previewing the Gold Cup. CONCACAF, I get it that the U.S. has all the infrastructure, U.S. has all the resources as far as the stadiums and, you know, living situations and all that. But can we pick another host location? Like, maybe let Canada host the Gold Cup at some point. Let Mexico host the Gold Cup at some point. Hell, make Central America host the Gold Cup at some point. Let the Caribbean, like, we can, you know, when FIFA's doing all these crazy combinations for co-hosts, why not let the whole Central America host the Gold Cup, and same vice versa for the Caribbean? Let's make it a little different. I mean, hey, I'll be all for it, honestly, if it's in the Caribbean. Like, you know, little paradise away from everything. So, and I mean Central America too. I would love to see, you know, the Gold Cup be played in El Cuscatlán, or be played in Guatemala, or played in Honduras. You know, like, I would love to see that because one, like, you know, the American home field advantage. Also, it's home field advantage to Mexico if you really want to think about it. But let's give somebody another home field advantage. Like, let's see what happens if what happens when we're in the humidity and the heat and all that in Central America. Does that fare a little bit better for Central American teams? So, let's give it a shot. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, CONCACAF. Just give somebody else a shot. You know, if it's because of infrastructure, like, give Mexico a chance to host it. I mean, like, let's move away from the U.S. Let's change up the hosts. Same thing goes with the Nations League. You know, the Nations League. Let's pick somewhere else to go besides America. Let's pick other countries in CONCACAF. CONCACAF has other offers. Look, man, I'm just saying, you know, let's just give something else a try. But anyways, but the final will be in Houston, Texas, July 6th. So your groups are as follows. We got Group A that has Mexico, Costa Rica, Suriname, and Dominican Republic. The reason why I'm pausing is not because I didn't know how to pronounce Suriname. The reason why was I was contemplating if I wanted to just knock out the storylines initially. And I'm going to do that before I do Group A. I'll just go right into the look. The big three storylines is obviously going to be that the fact that, well, I'll combine all the big three. This is literally for Mexico, USA, and Canada. This is their dress rehearsal, if you will, for the World Cup. Now, Mexico is taking it seriously. They brought in guys that you would expect to be playing for Mexico. Canada, aside from Alphonso Davies, brought in guys that you expect to play for Canada. U.S., on the other hand, they wanted to give Christian Pulisic a break. And essentially gave a lot of guys the option to not have to play. The guys that you would expect to see. Anthony Robinson will not be with the U.S. men's national team, as well as Yunus Musa for reasons I believe for him to try to figure out his contract situation, his next club, I guess. Same thing for Gio Reyna. Same thing for Sergino Dest. I think is because he's still kind of, at least from what we're reading, he's still trying to rehabilitate from his injury. So it's once again, look, take that with a grain of salt. Take for all you want. You heard all the old heads say, all the old man yells at cloud, including myself, that this is one of these times where I frankly don't care. They should have been on this roster if they were more than capable of being featured on this roster. They should have been in it. But what's done is done. There's nothing that we can do to avoid it at this point. If you're a U.S. soccer supporter, unfortunately, I am one of them. And now a new potential that you can see. So like I said, it's still a dress rehearsal very much so. We in some aspect, you can probably argue that maybe we don't necessarily know who is the U.S. men's national team roster because, let's be honest, it's been very overwhelming. So maybe the guys that we normally expect probably shouldn't be on the roster if they don't frankly care. Now, there are guys that are excused. Obviously, Weston McKennie, Timothy Weah, and anybody else that's being featured in the Club World Cup. It makes a ton of sense while they're going to be with their clubs because they're in a competitive competition. So at the end of the day, they're still competing in something. And obviously the clubs, for Weston McKennie and Timothy Weah's argument, they're guys that do get featured for the team. So, I mean, I get that part. But, for guys like Christian Pulisic, Anthony Robinson, even Yunus Musa, you guys had absolutely no excuse that you should have been able to be featured on it. Now, I also know that the friendlies probably weren't as great. By the time as of this recording, obviously U.S. ended up losing to Turkey 2-1, which I don't think it was necessarily as bad as people are overreacting to it. I know Mexico also got shellacked 4-2 against Switzerland, and I mean both. They're gonna flip competitions in their second match. But they're friendlies. While yes, you would like to see your team win competition games, regardless of what it is, whether it's a friendly, whether it's a competition or of any sort. But I think you can take some positives from it. I mean, like I said, aside from just giving up 2 goals in very few amount of minutes, after that they prevented anything else drastic from happening. So that's all I gotta say for U.S. Mexico. Like I said, there's things to figure out. We'll see what happens, man. But yeah, but the big thing to talk about when you talk about Mexico, Canada, and USA, obviously, is that they don't need to go through qualifiers, so they are literally just playing games to get prepared for the World Cup. And for Mexico and Canada's sake, and US, there's still players that would be considered on the fringe that are playing to prove themselves of worthy of being in that 2026 World Cup. Once again, it's going to be hosted by USA, Mexico, and Canada. So the entire continent of North America is going to have a lot of pressure to make sure that they can put their best product in their own backyards. But yeah, continuing on with it, at the end of the day, man, this is the test. And once again, you got Mexico and Canada who very much did bring guys you expect to be on their roster. And then you have the U.S. who had guys bowing out. Like I said, with Mexico, I thought I was very much intrigued of how it would be, how things would go because of the fact that they did call up Raul Jimenez, they did call up Santiago Jimenez, they did call up guys that you expect to be on the Mexico roster, and you're like, maybe they have them play the friendlies, and then come Gold Cup, they'll take them out just to have a B team, but they did not. They very much have I don't know. I wouldn't say A team. Like I said, I can't tell you, but they do have guys you expect to be playing for Mexico, and the same thing for Canada. You got guys that you expect to play for Canada. US does have some guys that you expect to be playing for the US men's national team come the World Cup. It's just that obviously the quote unquote LeBron James of soccer will not be featured on it. But I digress at that point. But let's get into Group A. Just because I want to just throw that throw that storyline out of the way, just because it's just obviously going to be featured. But we got Mexico, Costa Rica, Suriname, and Dominican Republic. I think once again the story to follow. I already said about Mexico, but I think Costa Rica, a nation that is trying to get back into the discussion, like I mentioned a few episodes ago on the podcast, that this is a national team that at one point was considered a safe bet to represent CONCACAF. This was, at one time Canada wasn't even much of a thought, wasn't even featured in the hexagonal in some aspect. It was always USA, Costa Rica, and Mexico, and probably not in that particular order. But Costa Rica was always viewed as a powerhouse. At one point, the strongest Central American team. And I think that obviously you have El Piojo running taking charge of this national team, and probably it feels like the only time I've ever seen Keylor Navas being the goalkeeper for Costa Rica. Obviously he's now the goalkeeper for Newell's Old Boys, Messi's boyhood club, but still, like, I think maybe because he probably wants to have an opportunity to be in the World Cup, that he's getting any chance he can to build some camaraderie with the team that he has, because this is a very much different Costa Rica team. So I think while everyone's probably viewing Mexico to win out this group, it's up to Costa Rica to handle their business against the Suriname and Dominican Republic. But then at the same time, if you're Suriname and Dominican Republic, like, you want to go out there and put your best foot forward and showcase what your national team can do. Especially the Dominican Republic, a nation that's not very known for their football. And so I think, but the big storyline will be Costa Rica. I think that it's going to be a very interesting how Piojo prepares this team, and how big of an impact will Keylor Navas be on this team. And I hope that we get to see vintage Keylor Navas, because I'm a big fan of his. So we'll see what happens there. Dark horses, I'm gonna say Dominican Republic. I think that they have a huge chip on their shoulders. They have some guys that are doing well in across the world in this game. So I want to see how they stack up. Like I said, the battle is going to be for that second place spot. Costa Rica, there's still some question marks behind it, but I still feel like I favored them in that second place position. But can Dominican Republic take advantage of their opportunities and get in that second place spot? I think that's going to be a really interesting story. Obviously they were in the Olympics, the past summer, so we'll see if they can follow up with another good showing for Dominican Republic. My favorites to come out of the group, I said it already, it's Mexico and Costa Rica. I think that once again, Mexico competes in CONCACAF competitions. What they do. They do take Gold Cup seriously. They don't necessarily play around too much. A team, B team, C team, whatever team they put out there, they will compete in the Gold Cup. And they go very far, to say the least. So I do expect Mexico to handle their group. They essentially designed these tournaments to have Mexico go far. So, and once again, you're in the U.S. Mexico has a strong home base here in the U.S. So I do expect Mexico to win out their group. I think they have a very good team. Raul Jimenez is poised and possibly could be breaking the all-time Mexican goal scorer record, passing up Chicharito. Could potentially do it in this tournament. So it's not out of the question. But Costa Rica, I think, once again, they're building something there. They want to be back in the conversation. And you got Keylor Navas in between the sticks, so I feel like they're gonna feel pretty strong going into this Group A. But that is Group A. Group B, we got Canada, Honduras, El Salvador, and Curacao. The story to follow here, and I already mentioned Canada, so I'm not gonna talk about Canada. Okay, I'm not gonna fuck it. I don't care. It's El Salvador. It's El Salvador. They've made a lot of changes with their federation. They bring in a coach that has a lot of experience in CONCACAF. He previously coached Panama, and he was with Panama when they went to the World Cup. So he has a good familiarity with just in general CONCACAF. They're in an interesting group where they're playing against Curacao, a very good Caribbean nation, a nation that has performed very well in these CONCACAF competitions as of lately. And then you have Honduras, a rival. So it's going to be telling of how El Salvador performs against Curacao. Can they get a point against Canada? And honestly, I'm highlighting that Honduras game. The Honduras game is going to be very telling of what we're getting from this El Salvador team, because they need to perform well and perform solidly. That's going to be my story to follow. Can El Salvador continue to prove where they're coming from? Obviously, there was a point where I was really low about this national team. I've been very optimistic with this team as of lately, and I hope that it continues that way to go into that trajectory, and hopefully maybe they can seal that second place spot in the group. I didn't. Well, I mean, I player to watch. I think I threw it out from Group A, which was Raul Jimenez. The player to watch for Group B. Jonathan David. I mean, I'll grab. I went for Mexico's 9. I'm gonna go grab Canada's 9. Is Jonathan David? Jonathan David is set to be leaving Lille this season. Do I expect his performance in the CONCACAF to dictate where he's gonna go? Probably not. But I think obviously if he can show out what he can do, it just increases his stock for clubs wanting him more in the summer. But yeah, Jonathan David, I think he's poised for a big move. I think he's if he's leaving Lille, he's going to a big club or a big opportunity. So I can't wait to see that in his development as a player. So that is my player to watch for Group B. And my dark horse team, I'm gonna say Curacao. I know I was hyping up El Salvador, but Curacao, like I said, they've gotten better and better each time I've watched them in the Gold Cup. They got Eloy Room in between the sticks. They have a very good team, a lot of Dutch influence in that team as well. Can they continue going? I mean, last time I believe I saw Curacao in the Gold Cup, they made it. They moved on to the next round. So could they do it very much again? Maybe that's the status quo for them. I think they're in a tougher group. Canada, Honduras, El Salvador. Might be the group of death, honestly, for this tournament. But I think if there's a team that can ruin guys' chances in the Gold Cup, it could be Curacao. So that's my dark horse. And my favorites to come out of this group is going to be Canada and El Salvador. I think Honduras still has a lot of things to figure out. Curacao is going to be interesting. But, obviously, if I'm going to label them a dark horse, it's not like that. I expect them to come in second, though. I wouldn't be shocked if they do, to be honest with you. But I'm gonna say Canada and El Salvador come out of Group B. So that's gonna be my prediction for Group B. Group C, we got Panama, Jamaica, Guatemala, and Guadalupe. Another really good group. I think this is a really interesting group. The story to follow, you can go in completely many ways. But I'm gonna say Jamaica, man. Jamaica on paper always looks good. They look legitimate, and then they just can't at the final moments. They've been pretty close. They've had good opportunities to win the Gold Cup, but once again, they just can't. They just can't put the dagger in. I hope that maybe we see maybe a little bit different Jamaican team this time. Same players, but different Jamaican team, and I hope to see that because I think that this team is really good. And I want them to compete. I want to see them shake things up. They should, on paper, once again, they look like they should be one of the stronger teams in CONCACAF, and they're not in the conversation right now. And I think if they can do it in this group, when you're with against the likes of Panama and Guatemala, if you can come out of this group on top of this group, it'll be really telling of what this Jamaican team is capable of. My player to watch is going to be Hagen from Guatemala. He was a standout in the previous Gold Cup, and I think this Guatemalan team also is very much different. And I think that if they can stay shut out defensively, especially in this group, we could see them moving on to the next round. But that is my player to watch is Hagen. My dark horse is Guatemala. Guatemala can shake things up in this. If they can get the best out of Panama, if they can get the best out of Jamaica, this could change up how this group is going to look. We could probably see Panama not move on to the next group, the next round because of a team like Guatemala. So I think that they're definitely a team that has potential if they can stay locked down defensively and be impactful in the final third. This team could shake things up of how this tournament looks like. My favorites to come out of this is going to be Panama and Guatemala. I think that once again, like while I like Jamaica and I like on paper while they look really solid, I'm just not sold just yet on this team. Guatemala, I think defensively could be a problem for Jamaica, and that's why I have them going in second place. I think Panama has just gotten better and better each time. Christensen has done a phenomenal job with this Panama team, and I expect them to handle this group very well. So that is my prediction is going to be Panama and Guatemala going into the knockout rounds. And the final group, Group D, we have USA, Haiti, Trinidad and Tobago, and Saudi Arabia. So in the Gold Cup, they always invite one nation from a different confederation to compete, and this year it is Saudi Arabia. I believe there was rumors that they were trying to get Argentina, which that would have been a terrible idea because Argentina would just, even with a C team, they probably would still go pretty far in this tournament. But yeah, so this is a really interesting group because of Saudi Arabia. People aren't entirely sure what to expect from this nation. But obviously Saudi Arabia is set to host the next World Cup, the 2034 World Cup, I believe, is going to be hosted by Saudi Arabia. I believe the next one's going to be that weird Spain, Morocco, and Portugal, and for some weird reason Argentina, Chile, no, not Chile, Panama, no, not Uruguay. Wait, was it? Yeah, no, it was Argentina, Uruguay. Is it Chile? I think it is Chile. For some weird reason, also hosting like the opening day matches. It's weird, but anyways, the story to follow. Obviously, I already mentioned the U.S. So I'm not going to mention them again. It's Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is coming here for a few reasons. Obviously, maybe to take notes about how to host. I think that's kind of one of the big ones, and then to see what it's like to go against other competition besides the Asian Football Confederation. So I think that's also their objective. Obviously, a few years ago, the last Gold Cup, we had Qatar in here, but I think that this is why they're here. Saudi Arabia will be an interesting team. I think that they're actually, I mean, they're a team that gets featured in a lot of World Cups, so I do expect them to put out a good showing, especially against some of the teams that are here. But I will say Haiti and Trinidad and Tobago are no slouches. It's not going to be just straightforward that easy. So don't bet that it's going to be an easy showing for Saudi Arabia. But that will be the story to follow is this Saudi Arabian team. Player to watch, I'm going to go with the U.S. I'm going to go with Diego Luna. I think that of all the players that need to have a spectacular performance, I think Diego Luna has gone the favor of Pochettino. He's been a dog. He's been anything, pretty much he's been a dog this entire time with the U.S. men's national team. Going back to when he broke his nose and got an assist before he was taken out of the game. Big balls. Remember, that's what Pochettino called him. And I think that, if he is able to have a stand-up performance in this Gold Cup, especially if I'm predicting that he's going to play that 10 role or be featured on this roster, I think it's going to be very telling of what we expect from this U.S. men's national team. And Pochettino will be featured. I believe that if Diego Luna can have a solid performance, we will see Diego Luna in the World Cup, in 2026 FIFA World Cup. So I will say Diego Luna, if he can have a show out for himself. I mean, there's a lot of U.S. players that need to have spectacular performance, but I'm pulling for Diego Luna to continue his form because I think he is the embodiment of what everybody wants to see from a U.S. soccer player. He's kind of like our new version of Clint Dempsey in some aspect. Not fully, but in some aspect. The dark horse for this group, I'm going to go with Haiti. I think Haiti is going to be a really frisky team. I think if, once again, they can be that nation that kind of becomes a foil for Trinidad and Tobago and maybe even Saudi Arabia. So, because I think at this point, everyone's kind of favoring USA and possibly Saudi Arabia to come out of this group. But I can see Haiti being the team that is causing a lot of havoc. They do have some guys that were part of the U.S. Soccer Federation at one point. So I wonder what's gonna. I think that they can do some some ruining of of tournaments for people. So I will say Haiti, keep a close eye on them. Fava Pico specifically, but I think that this team it can cause some shifting in this group. And my favorites, it's gonna be USA. And see, everyone's picking Saudi Arabia. Everybody's picking them. I think that that's kind of disrespectful to some of the CONCACAF nations because I think, you know, I think that we have some good competition here in CONCACAF in a different definition of good competition, but we still have good competition. I think Saudi Arabia is very much a good team, and once again, they get featured in World Cup, so I don't want to take that away from them. But I'm gonna go with Haiti. I do think Saudi Arabia can come out of this group, but I mean, you know, we saw Qatar and they didn't necessarily live up the bill, whatever hype they were trying to get from Qatar. But yeah, I'm gonna say Haiti. Haiti comes out the group. I think if they can get one over Saudi Arabia, I think that will be enough for them to move on to the next round. So that is my prediction from each group. My top 5. At number 5, I'm gonna. At number 5, I'm gonna. At 5, I'm gonna put Costa Rica. 5, I'm gonna put Costa Rica. I think they're gonna have a good showing in this tournament. I think once again, I have a lot of respect for Piojo. So that's who I'm putting at 5. Number 4. At 4, I'm gonna put Panama. I think Panama. This is a. I don't want to. No, I'm gonna stick with it. At 4. I'm gonna have Panama. I think. I think they're a good team. I've said so many good things about them. But I think that, you know, the big 3 in this conversation, they're not playing around. They're not playing around this time around, and I think that's the reason. I'm having the. All right, at 3rd, I'm gonna have the U.S. I'm sorry, the U.S. just doesn't have a strong roster compared to the 2 on top above them. The roster is just not that strong. I don't. Maybe they can prove me wrong, but for right now, I'm still hesitant on this U.S. team. And once again, Canada and Mexico brought guys that they should be bringing into this for this competition. They are taking this very much seriously, and I think that's going to be very reflective. Number 2 is going to be Canada, and first play for my heavy favorite. The team that I'm going to go with to win the Gold Cup is Mexico. I think Mexico is going to take this very seriously. They're going to not be slouching in this competition. They want to showcase, because once again, this is a dress rehearsal. This is the last competitive competition that Canada, Mexico, and USA have before the World Cup. I think Canada and Mexico have literally showed that they are taking this seriously, and they are looking at it that way by just looking at their rosters in general. USA, it's nothing to US's fault. I have nothing against the MLS guys that are being featured on this USA roster, but at the end of the day, it is not the U.S. men's national team that we're expecting in the World Cup. Once again, they can prove me wrong. I really hope they do prove me wrong. But if you don't see Christian Pulisic on there, if you don't see, and obviously there's people that have excuses, but you know when you don't have a Balogun, when you don't have Sergino Dest, when you don't have the guys that could be available to you opting out of this tournament, it's just not a good look. And you know, I'm gonna be pessimistic with this team right now. Whereas Canada and Mexico, they put out the best roster that they could put out for this occasion. Canada. The reason why I got Canada in second is just because of the fact that they just can't overcome Mexico. Maybe they do it this time around, but I don't see that happening. I think Mexico once again extends their lead right now because they are the leaders of the Gold Cup. I do expect Mexico to be lifting the Gold Cup at the end of all this. So in Houston, Texas, we're going to see Mexico lift the Gold Cup. I do firmly believe it. I think that they're taking this once again. Aguirre is going to take this competition very seriously. He's beating it into everybody's heads that they gotta put out a great performance here. Once again, it is Houston, Texas. It is going to be in the U.S. Mexico has a very strong fan base here in the U.S., and I don't expect that to change. It's going to be kind of hilarious at the same time. But yes, I do have Mexico winning the 2025 Gold Cup, and it does hurt me to say that. But that is the Gold Cup. We're going to go ahead and take... Yeah, no, let me just wrap this up because once again, this is also going on YouTube. That is the Gold Cup. Tell me guys what you guys think. But yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break, and then we'll go right into the FIFA Club World Cup. Hey guys, this is Hector from the Insert Name FC podcast, here to tell you guys about Canada Dips. It is a great tasting, superior alternative to traditional dip using CBD in a way that is radical, enjoyable, and effective. It comes in 5 core flavors: wintergreen, mint, citrus, mango, and American spice. Canada Dip CBD is the new evolution in dip, allowing guys to enjoy great, long-lasting taste without the downsides. If you guys want to go ahead and try them out, use the code BellyUp20 at CanadaDipCBD.com. Once again, BellyUp20 at CanadaDipCBD.com, and you'll get yourself 20% off your purchase. Thank you again for Canada Dips for being a great partner of BellyUpSports. All right, man. Just like the Gold Cup, the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup kicks off June 14th. It will conclude July 13th in East Rutherford, New Jersey at MetLife Stadium. So, how does the FIFA Club World Cup work? Well, the representation are as it follows. The teams that get one team is Oceania's Football Confederation, as well as the host nation, which is the U.S. So that they get one host team. I wonder if this continues come the next Club World Cup. You then have, these are the confederations that get 4 teams, which is the Asian Football Confederation, CAF, the Confederation of African Football. I think that's the acronym. And of course, CONCACAF, the Confederation of Central America, Central American, Caribbean, of North, Central, and the Caribbean. Wait, no, that's not it. Confederation of Central America, Caribbean. It's North America. Just know that. Don't worry about everything else. CONCACAF is stupid confusing. But anyways, they just get 4 teams to represent their confederation. CONMEBOL gets 6 teams to represent their confederation, and UEFA gets 12 teams, which is kind of how the World Cup is anyways. So, probably a little bit, I think the ratio is a little different, but yes, nonetheless. So, and the way they pick these teams are by winning their continental competitions, i.e., Champions Cup, Champions League, whatever their version of the Champions League is, that's who gets selected. Or if you're Inter Miami, who is the host, at least that's what they're going off of by now at this point after the whole thing that happened with the MLS Cup. But yeah, so they did a drawing to decide who's going to be in groups, in what group. But yes, so I said a lot of things to the Club World Cup. I'm just going to point that out. I was very hesitant about what all this was going to be. Once again, I'm someone that does favor the players. This is another thing that players have been complaining about just because of the fact that they already are in a very congested schedule as it is. And now on top of that, they get even shorter of a break because now they have to play in this competition. So, say that for what it is. But that's all I'm going to say at that point. But, all right, here are the groups. So we're going to kick things off for Group A. We have Al Ahly from Egypt. We got FC Porto from Portugal. Inter Miami, the host team from the U.S. Palmeiras from Brazil. The story to follow, I'm going to just say it's Inter Miami. There's a lot of drama going on right now with Inter Miami. Messi has kind of took a hold on contract negotiations with Inter Miami. His contract is set to, I think his contract's supposed to be done by the end of the season. So they put a stop to the contract negotiations as of right now. And I think it's just because the team has been pretty overwhelming. They did have a big win against Columbus Crew, but it's been overwhelming to the point where there's been rumors of Javier Mascherano possibly getting sacked. and I believe the rumor right now is America's coach. So yeah, it's not great, not a good look for them, but that's where they are right now. But yeah, the story to follow will be Inter Miami because they're not in a hard group, but they're definitely they got some hurdles to go if they wanted to have a strong performance. Because I think that Mascherano could be coaching for his job right now, and if they're not able to perform in this competition, it's just another nail in his coffin. So we'll see how that goes for them. My player to watch from this group is going to be Estevao from Palmeiras. He has been the guy that's linked to a lot of clubs, so we'll see if he can showcase, or will he be showcased in this Club World Cup. I really hope he is. So, but yeah, this is just for a lot of these players, this is their opportunity to increase their stock or get more notoriety. So I will be seeing, and this is my chance to actually get to see a little bit of this kid. I never got to see Endrick, and I never got to watch Endrick play, especially when he was playing in Palmeiras. So I will be really intrigued to see how Estavo, how he performs, and see how much of the truth that he is. So, and then my dark horse for this group is going to be Al Ali. The reason why is because this team, with an interim coach, won their league, and so I think that's very impressive. They now have a coach to be in charge, and I think that'll be interesting. But I think they're the team that's being overlooked right now, and I mean, respectively so. You're in a group with FC Porto, Inter Miami, and Palmeiras. Well, let's be honest, Messi, and so they're overlooked right now. I think they're a very good team. They clearly were. They were the champions of Egypt. So they have an opportunity to showcase what they can do. Not only that, but what Egyptian football has to show. So, and also representing Africa. So I think that this is going to be. I think that they can shake things up in this group. My favorites, it's going to be FC Porto and Palmeiras. I think that they're coming out of the group. I think that they're the two stronger teams. I don't know who would win the group. I wouldn't be shocked if Palmeiras beats FC Porto, to be honest with you. But Porto is still a very strong team. So we'll see how that all transpires. But that's my two right now going into the knockout rounds will be FC Porto and Palmeiras. In Group B, we got Atletico Madrid from Spain, Botafogo from Brazil, PSG from France, and the Seattle Sounders in the US. The story to follow would be PSG. PSG, obviously coming off of winning their first ever Champions League. And obviously also they've had some other players were represented in the Nations League final and semifinals. Are they going to be on tired legs? Are they going to be a little bit hung over? Is this team going to be able to take the Club World Cup seriously? I think that's going to be an interesting storyline to follow. My answer is yes, but that is still going to be something to follow. Like they've already. You will probably say that they put everything in that Champions League final. That do they have more in the tank to continue on into the summer? And we'll see what happens there. My player to watch is Antoine Griezmann from Atletico Madrid. He had a very hot first start to the first half of the season for Atletico Madrid and kind of cooled down in the second half. He did commit. He signed a new contract with Atletico Madrid. So all those rumors of him going to LAFC, that basically flushed down the toilet. So can a committed Griezmann be an X factor for Atletico Madrid here in the U.S., which he loves the U.S., so I'm sure he's going to want to put out a show for the American fans here for Atletico Madrid. My dark horse from this group is going to be Botafogo. I think Botafogo, a very strong Brazilian team, but you got to go. I think could dictate of who wins the group, in my opinion. Can they have a good showing against PSG, or can they cause some havoc against Atletico Madrid? It could be really telling of what Botafogo can dictate what happens in this group. My favorites, I'm going to say Atletico Madrid and PSG. I think Atletico Madrid does, in fact, win this group. Not many people do agree with that, but I do think Atletico Madrid can they're kind of, in my opinion, they're kind of try hards at times, and I think that this is a prime opportunity where they will be a try hard, and which I mean, why not doing in the FIFA Club World Cup? So I do have Atletico Madrid, and I do have PSG moving on to the knockout rounds. In Group C, we got Auckland City from New Zealand, Bayern Munich from Germany, Benfica from Portugal, and Boca Juniors from Argentina. The story to follow is going to be Boca Junior. They are not looking good. They've actually had like a not so great run of form as of lately, but it's the name Boca Juniors, right? That's what everyone thinks of. Can they come up in an opportunity where they could come out of this group? But yeah, once again, not in the best form. Can they change that for themselves in this competition? My player to watch is going to be Vangelis Pavlidis from Benfica. He is the guy up top for Benfica. Benfica has been a very competitive team in the Portuguese league and was a massive pain in the head in the Champions League. So they compete really hard, and I mean, Pavlidis is a big impact of that. So can he continue to showcase what he can do in this Club World Cup stage? And once again, some of these guys are playing for big opportunities. Can he get a big opportunity, especially at his age? Can he continue where he's at in Benfica, or can he get an opportunity with a big club? We'll see what happens, man. I mean, no offense to Benfica. I know Benfica is a big club in Portugal. My dark horse is going to be Boca Juniors. I don't think a lot of people have a lot of expectations of them. But I think they can shake things up. I think that they can flip the script, that this will be a great time to be flipping that script for themselves. So that's where I'm going with. I'm going to say Boca Junior, I think, can be a little thorn to the side to a lot of these teams in this group. My favorite, it's going to be Bayern Munich and Benfica. I'm going to take those two to move on. Boca Junior, like I said, their form is a little bit questionable to me. If they were coming off of good form, I would probably pick them, but like I said, it's not the best form for right now. Group D, we got Chelsea from England, Esperance from Tunisia, Flamengo from Brazil, and LAFC from the US. Story to follow is LAFC. LAFC qualified by playing Club America. If you guys don't know, this was supposed to be Club León spot, but Club León was removed from the tournament because of FIFA having a rule that you cannot have clubs that are from the same ownership group, which Club León is in the same ownership group as Pachuca, who is also in this competition. And so because of that, they were removed from the tournament, which brought in the opportunity for LAFC and Club America to play a play-in match to decide who gets that final spot. America was picked because they were the highest ranked CONCACAF club, and LAFC was the team that was in the final against Club León. So that's why they were featured in that play-in. LAFC ended up winning that game, and now they're here. So can they take advantage of this once-in-a-life opportunity for themselves? My player to watch, I'm going to say it, it's Cole Palmer. The new number 10 for Chelsea. I think that this kid, since I saw him in Manchester City, I was like, this kid's cold-blooded, man. And he's lived up to that hype, in my opinion. I think he's a really good player. He's solid. I think it's gonna be he's gonna be a big part of this Chelsea team if they go far in this tournament. But yeah, Chelsea looks good, and Cole Palmer is definitely a correlation of that. So I expect that's gonna be my all eyes to watch on Cole Palmer, what he does in this stage of the FIFA Club World Cup. My dark horse team is going to be LAFC. I think of all the MLS teams, they definitely have a better shot at getting out of the group. I think that they can maybe turn a few games in their favor. It just, can they do it? But that's the reason why they're a dark horse. I think that they very much could shake things up. It just depends if they can. But my favorites to come out of here, it's going to be Chelsea and Flamengo. I think they're both two really strong teams. Flamengo's a very strong team in Brazil. And I expect those two to come out of Group D. Group E, we got Inter Milan from Italy, Monterrey from Mexico, River Plate for Argentina, and Urawa Red Diamonds from Japan. The story to follow is going to be Inter Milan. Inter Milan, after just missed opportunity after missed opportunity after missed opportunity, they missed out on the Coppa Italia when they got eliminated by AC Milan. They missed out on winning the Serie A in decision day, which Napoli ended up taking. And, of course, they got fully embarrassed in the Champions League final against PSG. So they had an opportunity to have 3 trophies, and they missed out on all 3 of them. Can they bounce back? Do they have it? Do they have it in them to go into another competition and hopefully win something this year? Because they don't have a single trophy in there for this season. Can they do it here? My player to watch is going to be Sergio Ramos from Monterrey. This is the reason why he went to Monterrey, and this is why Monterrey went after him. He is an experienced center back. He has a ton of leadership and a ton of knowledge. He knows how to play in these kind of competitions. Can he be the guy for Monterrey to help them go far in this tournament? That's going to be the interesting part. My dark horse is Monterrey. Monterrey is a very interesting team. They're a very good team. They're a solid defensive team. They're good on the attack. And on top of that, it is here in the U.S. There's a ton of Monterrey fans here in the U.S., and I think that they're going to have a home field advantage every single match, including the Inter Milan match. So they're going to have a lot on their side. I think that they could be a real frisky force in this competition because of that aspect that if you want to talk about a true home field advantage, it's going to be Monterrey. If America was in here, I would have also said the same thing for them, but they're not. So Monterrey is my dark horse. My favorites to come out of this group is Inter Milan and Monterrey. Even though they are my dark horse, I expect them to come out of this group. I think that they could get advantage over River Plate, and they'll move on to the next round. So that is my picks for Group E. Group F, we got Borussia Mönchengladbach from Germany, Fluminense from Brazil, Mamelodi Sundowns FC from Egypt, that's a great name, and Ulsan HDFC from South Korea. The storyline to follow here is just going to be Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund, who initially they fired Nuri Sahin in the first half of the season because they were not doing well. And then the guy in charge that took over the team got this team back into shape and got them into a Champions League position at the end of the season, which from where they were before he took over to where they were now, huge accomplishment. And so that's going to be really interesting. They did secure Joe Bellingham, so they have another Bellingham on their club, and they do fairly well with English players on their team. So, can Dortmund, I think that's going to be the story to follow. Joe Bellingham with Borussia Dortmund, the other Bellingham brother, can he make his name now for Borussia Dortmund's history? My player to watch is going to be Karim Adeyemi from Borussia Dortmund. I know I just talked about Jude Bellingham, but Karim Adeyemi has to be the guy that steps up for Borussia Dortmund. I think he normally does. He's a young player, a young promising player. Can Borussia Dortmund? I think he's going to dictate a lot for Borussia Dortmund. That's the guy I'm going to be wanting to keep an eye on. Plus, I've liked watching him since he came up into the rankings, amongst the rankings of Borussia Dortmund. So I can't wait to see how he continues his career. My dark horse team is Fluminense. Actually, I don't have really a dark horse. Actually, yeah, my dark horse team is Fluminense. They're a really strong Brazilian side. Actually, no. I take that back. This is gonna be the whole Borussia Dortmund time. My dark horse throughout the tournament is Borussia Dortmund. I think that they can come in and make a statement. I think that they have a sneaky strong following here in the U.S. And so I think that they could be a promising team in this Club World Cup. They could probably go far, maybe, I don't know, but I think that that's my dark horse for the entire tournament is Borussia Dortmund, and my favorites is gonna be Borussia Dortmund and Fluminense coming out of the group. So. Yeah, Group F, I just literally spent the whole time Group F talking about Borussia Dortmund. No offense to Mamelodi Sundowns and no offense to Ulsan HDFC. I don't know too much about them, but I know that Borussia Dortmund is going to be the heavy favorite to win that group. In Group G, we got Al Ain from the United Arab Emirates, Juventus from Italy, Manchester City from England, and Wydad Casablanca from Morocco. The story to follow is Manchester City has made signings. They have made a lot of signings. They added Rangers from AC Milan. You lose Kevin De Bruyne, you get in Rangers. I think that's a really good addition, a young player, a young 10 that can maybe potentially do the same thing that Kevin De Bruyne was able to do for them, if not even more. So I think that that's a great addition for them. And once again, you still have Erling Haaland, you still have Marmoush, you have a ton of players. So I think this is going to be their time. They need to respond from the season that they had, and what better else to do it in the FIFA Club World Cup. My player to watch is Erling Haaland. Can he do this in this big of a stage? Obviously he has a lot of work to do for Norway to get them in the World Cup, but here he is in this World Cup. Can he have his World Cup moment here in the Club World Cup? I'm really intrigued to see if he can do it, especially if he does it here in the U.S. It is going to be all eyes on him. He is one of the big names for Man City, and I think a lot of guys are hoping. A lot of people are really wanting to see this kid play in person. So that's who I have as my player to watch. My dark horse team. Well, I'm not going to pick Wydad, Casablanca, or Al Ain. So I'm going to say Juventus. I think they're being overlooked. I think the old lady, for all its reasons, I get it. But I think also, along with Borussia Dortmund, I think Juventus could be a lot different this year, and maybe can change things up to change some people's minds about the old lady still being very, very much a force in club football across the world. But my favorite is going to be Manchester City and Juventus. Those are two I'm thinking that are coming out of this group. I know I'm being boring. I know I'm picking the European sides, but let's be honest. You are too. And then the last group, we got Al Hilal from Saudi Arabia, Pachuca from Mexico, Real Madrid from Spain, and RB Salzburg from Austria. The story to follow here is going to be Al Hilal. I think Al Hilal has... no, I'm just kidding. It's Real Madrid. The Real Madrid, obviously, very overwhelming season this year. Injuries, all you can think of. You move on from Carlo Ancelotti. He's taking over Brazil. And now you add Xabi Alonso. You bring Xabi Alonso back to Real Madrid, this time as a coach. The hottest name in coaching right now. Can he be... What are we going to see from his first competition as coach of Real Madrid, manager of Real Madrid? What is his approach? How is he going to view this team defensively? How is he going to get these guys to get into gear? Also, Florentino Perez has been very active in the transfer market as we speak. He's already got Højlund from Bournemouth. They already got Trent Alexander-Arnold. They went and got Mascherano from River Plate. They're just looking to add more and more players. They're going to be very active this year, and they're also in pursuit of a Joselu type 9, which tells me that this is probably the end of the road for Rodrigo, which means that we're going to probably see Mbappe back on the wing, and Real Madrid's going to have a distinctive 9 in their lineup. My player to watch is Arda Güler. Arda Güler has been rumored to be very favorable by Xabi Alonso. He really likes him, so which I hope that means that he's going to be implemented in a lot of the formations that Xabi Alonso has planned for Real Madrid this season. And this is probably a chance that we get to see this kid perform because he is very much good. He's very much for real. He's ready to be a starter, and I can't wait to watch him play. My dark horse from here is Pachuca. Pachuca is going to be very solid. I think they could be a problem. I think that they're a very physical team. They can also score on you. Rondon is very much that it factor for that team. Can they continue it? Can they continue on and be a statement in this tournament and represent Mexico as well and CONCACAF in this competition? But the teams that I'm having coming out of this group is Real Madrid and Al Hilal. But yeah, so that is my predictions for the groups. Let me take a quick break so I can give you my top 5. So one moment, please. One moment. All right, guys. So my Power 5, my top 5 teams are going to be at 5th place, at 5th of my rankings, PSG. I'm going to have PSG 5th. I think that there is going to be some sort of hangover. So that's why I have PSG at 5. At number 4, I have Bayern Munich. I think that they're going to have a good team, but I just don't know if they've made any additional pieces, especially as the deeper you go, you're going to face some big competition, and I think that that's going to be very dictative. Number 3, I have Chelsea. I think Chelsea, once again, is going to have finally flipped the switch, and they are looking very strong. So that's who I have on my top, at 3rd. 2nd, I got Manchester City. I think that they want to win this competition. They have the players. They added more weapons, and they're probably adding more to it. So I expect them to have a strong showing in this tournament. And my team, my heavy favorite, and yes, there is some bias behind it, but I don't care. It is Real Madrid. I think this team is they're aggressive just as much as everybody else is. I think Xabi Alonso, even though it's a new coach, I think is very much a guy that can really flip things around for a team. Doesn't matter. Look what he did when he took over Bayer Leverkusen as well. So I think that the proof is in the pudding for him. He still has a very strong roster, and they're adding more pieces to it. I think that they very much are capable of going far in this tournament, and it's very fitting that Real Madrid wins the first ever FIFA Club World Cup in this version of it. So yeah, that is my Power 5. And yeah, you guys can say I'm being a Madrista. That's fine, and I get it, but that's who I'm picking. So there it is. So hopefully we'll see what happens. Like I said, man, we'll come back around. We'll recap the final. So we're not going to do a knockout. If you want to see all that, go to BellyUpSports. Check out their YouTube channel. You'll see me as well as some other members from Belly Up breaking down each round of the FIFA Club World Cup. So be on the lookout for that. So we'll go ahead and take one more break and then recap this, then end this show.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at BellyUpSports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
All right, guys, that is episode 222. Like I said, we won't have another episode till the end of the till the end of the Gold Cup, because that one's gonna end sooner, and then we'll do a conclusion to the FIFA Club World Cup. But so technically, I guess we're gonna have 3 episodes this summer. But like I said, guys, we're taking a break. You saw the cartoon versions of us. So, yeah, we're very much taking a break, and we're just going to relax and prepare ourselves mentally for the next season that is to come. But, yeah, guys, check out the FIFA Club World Cup. Check out the Gold Cup, man. Figure out some things that you like about that. But with all that being said, man, thank you so much for listening. Catch us for the Gold Cup recap episode. Take care, guys.